Guys, Monkey the Six Backpack here with, after finishing Yumiko's route here, I've let it sit a couple days, but also in the couple days I've started playing the next route I'm going to be playing, which is sachi, so I kind of wanted to get this out before I played any more sachis, pretty much. So, Yumiko's route, let's start off with my initial guess of Yumiko, is that her route would be the more interesting and action-packed route due to the fact that she was violent herself, and my initial guess appeared to be correct. You do get a decent amount of action. In fact, this route lasts a while. It's probably, my guess, going to be the longest route in the game. It's got some action in it, some violence, everything you need. So, my initial guess of the character was that she's going to be one of my favorites. My initial guess was that she was going to be my favorite, but as of it stands right now, that initial guess was wrong, because I like her route better than Michiru's route, but I like the end Michiru better than I like the end Yumiko, pretty much. Because Yumiko's character just changed too much from her original character to the point where I really don't like it anymore. So I would rate it probably an 8. I'd rate the route like a 7.5 out of 10. It was a very enjoyable route. It was action-packed. Not action-packed to the extent that I believed it was going to be, but it was definitely action-packed, which was enjoyable. So if you're basing off my recommendation, I would recommend that you still play Michiru's first, then play Yumiko's, then move on to Sachi's, which I'm currently playing right now. Because, I mean, it does, from who told me to do it that order, their reasoning was the fact that you look at the characters a lot differently and the things they decide to do, because you know why they decided to do it. And it makes sense, because, you know, it was pretty strange seeing Chiru in this route after knowing what happened to her, what's going on with her, etc. It's a little depressing knowing that it's not going to get fixed because you're with another route. That's a pretty morbid thought, but whatever. So, I would recommend that you follow the same order, go Michiru's and Yumiko's, and now I'm going to get into the spoilers of the route, so if you have not played the route yet, this is the time to stop the video, close it, move on to whatever you're going to watch next on the wonderful world of YouTube. Okay, so, my initial guess of her being the most action-packed was correct, but not to the extent that I believed it was going to be. I believe that due to her violence constantly with the box cutter, she was going to be more action-packed with him, instead of just, hey, you sit in the corner in the ball while I beat the shit out of these 5 dudes. I was kind of expecting her to have more action scenes instead of evolving into a character that was absolutely nothing like the character you began with. Now, it's nothing wrong with that, it just totally blew my expectations out of the water. I mean, she slowly turned into, like, as Makina said in pre-route, she's a courtier. And I didn't want to believe that, because I was looking forward to like an action-packed route of the two people being violent and beating people up together, because that's the way it seemed it was going to go, but it was definitely one of the longer routes. I've noticed a pattern with this visual novel, is that they'll do a large chunk of exposition when you're just, instead of, a casual conversation finding out what happened to these people, you get a large, like, flashback, and it's just like a big ol' half an hour to an hour chunk of just text of learning what happened to the people in the past. Which, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just, after Michiru's route, where the route ended, shortly after that, I was kind of expecting Yumiko's to end shortly after that. And by shortly, I mean, it was a decent amount of text, but it wasn't as much as I thought. Michiru's route must have been the shorter one, because after her text, hers goes on for another, like, 2 hours. So that's, yeah, that's where, it's one of the longer routes, I think, unless the next one goes on longer. But I would definitely give the route itself 7.5, as I said before. But my original guess for the character was 8 out of 10. But I think after, like, the route in the development, it's going to stay at 8. It's not going to go down, it's not going to go up, it's going to stay pretty much the same. It does, as I said before, knowing what happens to her makes the other routes makes seeing her in the other routes different. Like, knowing, like, in Michiru's route, that she was actually like the way she was, like, secretly hiding all the emotions inside of her, makes the scene with the coffin a little more real, should I say. It makes everything a little, same with, this is spoiler alerts for Michiru's route now, so if you haven't played that one, don't listen to this part, skip a minute ahead. It makes it more you know, kind of same with Michiru, seeing her in this route where, you know, she's pretty much the same way it is. It's pretty morbid knowing that since Hisao, oh my god, I'm thinking of Kato Shoujo. Since he's not gonna be here he's not gonna be on her route to fix her problem, she's gonna be like that forever and potentially die shortly after the route ends, due to the fact that she almost died if he didn't stop her in her own route. So by the fact that she's not in there, it's kind of morbid train of thought. It's, you know, it's a depressing train of thought on top of that. I mean, just, if you think about it, it's kind of, like, crazy. And, you know, is it going to be that way with the next route, that the character is going to be forever broken? Because, you know, in her case, she didn't wait long enough to get out of the school to potentially find someone else for anything to happen. With Yumiko, what would happen if he wasn't there to guard her and the bodyguards got to her? Would she have been forced to become the puppet? Would she have gone back to the way she was as a child? It's not fun to think about. But I enjoyed the whole On the Lam section a little more than I thought it was. I thought it was just going to pretty much end with the whole plane thing. Just, you know, him saving her in the plane, that was going to be the end, not, you know, a whole nother, like, act after that pretty much, which was really enjoyable. So, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to end this off here. The next drill I'll be playing with Sachi's. I'm already decently through Sachi's because I, you know, usually give it a couple days before I record these, though my thoughts settles. The ending was pretty sweet. I'm definitely looking even more forward to the one that comes out in the coming months that continues on. I can certainly see how Michiru's gets continued on, but I definitely can't see how hers, given how they end with them being full-grown adults, having a child and lives. Because the next visual novel, the synopsis is pretty much that he decides to go higher up into his operation here, and its continuation, each of the routes is based on, you know, you pick which one that you want to continue, and their reaction, but you pretty much see to the end of their lives with Yumiko and him. So how they're going to do it that way with, you know, Michiru's, it ends with them, you know, kind of being happy and all that. This one, they end being happy too, just not... And they kind of clearly say it's, you know, several years into the future, and he hasn't done it in 3 years, yet they're still at the school when he does it, so... I'm really interested to see how that plays off. It's going to be like an alternate universe or something, or whatever. But alright, I'm going to go back to reading some more Fruit of Grisaia now, so... See you guys next week with Sachi.